Thank you, Dr. Nee. Any questions for Dr. Nee? No. So next, Douglas Oyango, and there's a question. Okay. From Gabon.
Oui, merci.
Thank you very much. I would like to know if the results, did you get the feedback from the regulation authorities, regularity authorities, from the agency in the country which published those data? Did you share these results or with the operators or with the authorities? What did you get back as feedback or response?
Thank you very much for the question. I shared it with the regulator, and in fact, it got me a job. So it is good to do this kind of thing. I have not yet shared it with the operators because I wanted to make sure that the regulator was comfortable with the data and intended to make use of it. And as it turned out, the regulator has decided to give me more current data and also, get rewarded for my independent efforts. So sometimes you don't go for the money, you go for the interest, and then the money comes. And in this case, I have a job with them.
Good. Okay. There will be now an update on BCOP Africa done by Jan Jorg, followed by Douglas. And we'll take the question just after Douglas, if you don't mind.
Hello, good afternoon, good people from Africa, good people from Internet. My name is Jan Jorg, I come from Slovenia, I work for Internet Society, and I would like to give you an update what is going on around the world on the best current operational practices initiatives. So, just as a refreshment, what is a BCOP? It's a best current operational practice document. It's a living document that describes the best operational practices currently agreed on by subject matter experts. I usually get the question, what is the difference between BCOP and BCP, the IETF series? BCP is best current practice that the protocol designers are wishing how it should be implemented and used. BCOP is the actual operational practice coming out of the operators, coming out of the field. What is the problem? Why we are trying to set up these best current operational practices? Operational knowledge tends to be tribal. It is discussed among you at the corridors. Some presentations are done, but there is no good operational practice at one place where people that do not travel that much or don't go to conferences would just go and get the documents that they are agreed by more experienced operators. So it's all about getting the operators together, starting the document, and then getting other operators to agree that this is actually the best current operational practice. Because if you type in Google today, deploy IPv6 for mid-size ISP, you get gazillion of hits. And you don't know what is relevant information and what is not. There is lots of stuff on the internet. So we want to create something that is that has good documentation how to do things. I talked about this. So, okay, about BCOP activity around the world. In Africa region, a BCOP group was started under AfriNIC and AfriNIC. It's led by Douglas Onyango. Douglas will talk about this activity in a few minutes. In Asia, the BCOP task force started at JNOC, Japanese Network Operators Group. It's co-chaired by Seiichi and Maz. And also NZNOC is starting up, led by Dean Pemberton. In Europe, there is a right BCOP task force. It's co-chaired by me and Benno Overreinder. We had a meeting 2 weeks ago in London. It was very, very, very productive and good meeting. In Latin America, there is a BCOP task force at LACNOC. It's led by Luis Balbinot and Pedro Torres. I was in Chile 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. It was quite good. And in North America, there is an ANOC BCOP committee established. It's led by Aaron Hughes and Chris Grandeman. So there is lots of activity going on. AFNOC BCOP, or AfriNIC BCOP, I will let Douglas to talk about it later. In RIPE BCOP, here is the link to our charter and the mailing list. Actually, the BCOP documents in the works are IPv6 troubleshooting for residential help desks. I'm the primary author of this document, and there is Sander somewhere sitting in the room. There he is. He's also co-authoring this document with me, and it's actually a starting point for technical support staff. If you implement IPv6, when people call into your help desk, how to troubleshoot and what is the procedure, and there is a map, some sort of the procedure how they should respond. We found this as a big problem among operators, because operators said, I want to deploy IPv6 to our customers, but I'm afraid our help desk will burn down in flames if we do that. So we said, okay, we will fix the problem and put a document like this out. We got consensus in the BCOP task force, and now we are waiting for consensus in IPv6 working group in RIPE, because we are cooperating with working groups that are relevant for the topic that we are working on. Next one, I will go very quickly through these documents. It's DNSSEC operational practices for authoritative name servers. It is from Matthijs Mekking. Actually, he is working on documenting how to set up a DNSSEC, how to sign your zones, what are the protocol default values, what is the key management, and what is available software. Very useful stuff. Then we have BGP, best current operational practices. This is coming out of France. There is lots of good contributors. It's also France IX, Jaguar, Neo Telecom, Orange, Renater, and this is becoming a really good BGP document. And we are cooperating with routing working group to have to check it if it's technically sound. Then we have Euro IXP BCOP. You can find it here. We will also put a link to it to our BCOP repository, and this is coming out of IXP community. What are the best current operational practices for IXP? Then we have from Illich. This came up at the last RIPE meeting. He wants to work on the controlled IPv6 deaggregation by large organizations. He put it in the IETF format, in RFC format, and submitted to the IETF, but he came to discuss it at our BCOP task force. So as a side note, 2 weeks ago in London, we had so many presenters that wanted to talk about what they are currently doing that we could not accommodate them all. We ran for one and a half hour. We ran into the welcome reception, but everybody was in the room and discussing these things, so it was very good. And we got 3 new topics, as you will see. Yeah, so we've got people standing up, coming to the mic and saying, I would like to do IPv6 deployment for small medium ISP. This work is starting. I'm following it remotely. Then one guy came and said, I would like to do the IP resources transfers. This is basically IP broker that would like to do the best current operational practice on IP resources transfers. And Florian came up with the idea, with little help from me, about to write a document about the correlation between network complexity and troubleshooting. So what is the lowest necessary possible complexity that you introduce in your network, and how does this affect the troubleshooting and running of the network? I believe that a document as this would prevent lots of unnecessary complexity and would bring the prices of building the networks down. Okay, we have LACNOC BCOP. It is basically bootstrapping. Here is the mailing list if you want to join. They're working on development process document, so they are much more organized than we are in our region. We said we're learning as we go, but in LACNIC region they would like to set a development process first. So they are currently working on that. And NANOC BCOP, you had links there. You can download the presentation later probably. We have public peering exchange participant that is actually a bit redundant to the IXP and the BGP work that is doing, so we talked about putting these documents together. Then we have eBGP configuration that is also a bit redundant to what we are doing in RIPE region. Then we had Ethernet OAM, probably self-explanatory what it does. Then we have anti-DDoS document in the works. We are waiting on details on that one, but as far as we know, people is working on it. Then we have BCP 38, so operational experience on deploying and using BCP 38. This is coming from Aaron Hughes, and we are still waiting on details. Then we have IPv6 peering, also lots of people working on it. Chris, Ran, Joe, and Brandon Ross, and good experts like this. So this will also become a very good document. And now we have GENOC BCOP moving to Japan. They are also working on the eBGP best practices. So at one point in time, we will have to join these efforts on the BGP and put out one global one that will work for everybody. URL is not yet public because Japanese people wants to work a bit in secrecy, and then they will publish it. They call it comments, not documents. But anyway, then we have potential topics. So, how to test your network performance, how to check your visibility, deaggregation, how operators using IRR, DNS policies. Then we have IPv6 and enterprise network renumbering scenarios. There are lots of ideas and topics that you can work on. And we need more suggestions. So what are the next steps? We will continue to bootstrap and help new efforts around the world to starting up. I'm pretty much flying all over the world and help people with bootstrapping these efforts. I racked up, I don't know, 140,000 miles this year. I've been everywhere. And there's lots of low-hanging fruit to develop new documents. I'm sure there is a topic of your interest that you would like to work on. And we should start thinking and talking about the global coordination, because we said, okay, let's start regionally and let's get things moving and let's get things done. Now things are getting done, but as you saw, there are multiple BGP documents in different regions that are being worked on, so we need some coordination between these groups. So I would like to invite you to join the African BCOP task force led by Douglas, and I believe Douglas has some surprise for you and some news. And just start a new document and join the BCOP task force. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ian. I have a very short update that is going to revolve mostly around the last BOF we had at the last meeting, I believe in Djibouti. So Ian has already gone through everything we've been doing from the inception of this effort in Africa. That was about in 2013, which is last year. We've so far had about 3 meetings. This is the 4th, and we had our last meeting was in Djibouti, where we also gathered around to have a BOF. This was a particularly interesting gathering of like minds. In this particular session, we tried to tackle a few things that in line with trying to move the effort forward. My recollection of our discussion was around how do we actually go about discussing policies, how do we propose them, how do we format them. We also had discussions around what online forum we are actually going to use to do the discussions. We also spoke about the collaborations with other efforts, especially the ones in the other regions, and exactly how we are going to, what topics are there that can be used as low-hanging fruit for us to proceed. On the subject, when we spoke about the subject of formatting of the documents and the development process of these documents, like Yan in the RIPE region, we decided against a formal policy in the beginning. We said, let's get some documents in place and let's worry about the actual development process at a much later stage. So that was decided by collectively by the individuals who attended the BOF, and that is how we are proceeding for now. On the issue of where to hold our discussions, we agreed collectively that until we feel a need otherwise, most of the guys who are operating networks around Africa should constitute the bulk of the individuals who again would have an interest in the same initiative. So we decided to start off our discussions on the AfriNIC mailing list as and when we have the issues to discuss, or a topic to discuss, or a document or a BCOP document to discuss. We decided that let's use the existing mailing list such that we do not create a situation where we have multiple mailing lists, for now at least. So again, on the issue of collaboration, this one you can see already, we are trying to work at the primary level to try and coordinate efforts. This is one of the reasons why we are happy that Yan is here to try and give us an update from his region and also from the other regions where similar activities are going on, also to challenge us into action given the progress that has been made in those regions. The other issue that was not resolved at the time was that of how do we manage, which individuals should be managing the entire initiative. So there was a speech or a discussion around co-chair for this particular initiative, something that we didn't arrive at a conclusion at during that meeting. However, since I've gotten the expression of interest from Fiona that she would like to come on and co-chair this BCOP initiative on the continent together with me. So probably going forward, we should see a lot more action, a lot more traction in this initiative, given Fiona's involvement as a co-chair. The other thing that I wanted to discuss is what policies or documents we've so far, how we are moving in the direction of documents. During this particular meeting, we discussed a few of the low-hanging fruits in terms of topics that we can actually target with the documentation. We had an expression of interest, and a gentleman called Alfred committed to do for us what we call a Q&A for IPv6. He stated the case, the need that there's a lot of people who are absolutely green. This particular document is going to tie very well, probably be the introductory section of what Yan has just presented as the troubleshooting guide. So this would maybe be that laying of the foundation, answer the common questions that relate to IPv6 before you can actually do the troubleshooting that Yan has just spoken about from the RIPE region. Unfortunately, Alfred has not been able to submit this draft for us to discuss during this meeting. However, he is committed to delivering it within the next couple of weeks. So you will be seeing this document online. We will have the discussion, and hopefully during our next meeting, that is in next year, we will definitely have a discussion around this document during our face-to-face meeting. Also, together with that, we also had one or two other documents that we found individuals who were interested in authoring. The first one being the challenges around the Africa infrastructure challenges and the best practices of how most of the infrastructure providers have been able to solve some of the more common problems around infrastructure. This document is also in the drawing right as we speak, And by the time we convene again, we should have a draft that is at least stable, one that we can deliberate on during our next meeting and probably get on to actually ratify. We are also still discussing openly with the other regions to see how some of the ideas and some of the topics, some of the subjects can actually be used so that we are not replicating any efforts. So I am aware that RIPE and ARIN and a few of the other regions have already discussed certain documents. We as a region should be interested in also, probably in the next meeting, we will table some of the documents that have already been discussed in the other regions to figure out which one of them suit our very local requirements, which one of them we can actually adopt and ratify for our region. So that is the brief update in as far as Africa is concerned. I'm hoping that in our next meeting, by our next meeting, we're going to start seeing some actions in terms of moving the initiative forward in the next couple of weeks, and by the time we meet in our next meeting, there should be a lot of progress in this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Douglas. Georg, questions? Nishal?
Hello, it's on. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nishal Govardhan. I don't have a question for the BCOP guys.
Your organization, please, Nishal.
My name is Nishal Govardhan. I work at Packet Clearinghouse, PCH. I don't have any questions for the BCOP guys. I did look. I didn't see anyone else at the microphone. But I did have something to say to the first speaker. And I see we've got 10 minutes, so if you don't mind me. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you, Eddie and PCH. You were indeed the first to do it in Africa way back when I remember helping Joe Abley to set it up. Thanks for being there all the time. And as person that's responsible for keeping the Joburg exchange point running, I can tell you it actually does make a difference to us. A point I wanted to make to the audience was, for those of you that are in the room, you should absolutely speak to ISC about getting effort in. Everybody seems to talk about bandwidth all the time, and where we're getting the next submarine fiber cable from. But very few people seem to stop to think, how do we improve DNS? And a conversation that we had earlier today, because we're both the DNS geeks, is if your DNS doesn't work, nothing else works. So stop, consider what you're fixing and how you need to fix it. To go along with ISC's offer of helping to support you to get DNS routes in Africa, the organization I work for, PCH, we do exactly that. We help you to get DNS routes in your country. We have a slightly specific stipulation, however. We prefer to do this at exchange points. So if you're an exchange point operator, or you're thinking of building an exchange point and you're looking for DNS routes, or you're looking for other CCTLD infrastructure, again, we're happy to help you at no cost. You're welcome to speak to me. We are already in contact with some happy people here, and I'm sure we can help make the internet, again, in your country much better. Thank you.
Thank you, Nishal. Andrew?
Hi, Andrew Alston from Liquid Telecom in this particular case. I just wanted to comment on the release of best practice guidelines for BGP, and I want to thank the presenters for talking about this, because it has become such a critical issue in Africa. The lack of sane BGP that I'm seeing on internet exchanges across the continent is having such a huge impact. To give just one example, we had to withdraw GGC caches going onto the Kenyan Internet Exchange because the BGP announcements coming from providers across the Internet Exchange were causing traffic to flow via Europe out of the GGC, which was next door, rather than actually flowing through the exchange, purely because of incorrect BGP. And despite going to people at the exchange saying, please fix this, what you get told is, don't tell us how to run our BGP. So a best practice document like that will be hugely helpful, and I do think it's going to have a very, very positive impact on the BGP deployments in Africa and also help to increase the traffic on the internet exchanges.
Thank you, Andrew. I think you would be a very, very good person to help with this document, right?
I'd be more than willing to get involved.
Thank you very much. Big applause for Andre.
Grégoire?
Okay, thank you. My name is Grégoire Eoumi. I'm from Benin. I will speak in French. Okay. Donc, my question is concerning the BCOP, African BCOP. I note that, like all organizations, that there's not much evolution concerning Africa. I would like to ask that there can be more participation and communication on this issue so that people can massively join in and concretely share all our experiences of what others have done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Raphaël Monnier from a lot of people. So. Just to answer to Andrew and to the previous guy, so I'm one of the trainers for the ISOC, for the AXIS program. So ISOC is already doing a lot of documentation about IXP, how to run BGP, and how to fix your internet routing, let's say OSPF. So it's based on OSPF and BGP. So ISOC is already doing a lot of training around all Africa and using people speaking French for French country, and also English people of English country. So there's already something in place. There's some change to do, documented to be evolved with the new BCP. So it's already something in place, already on the website. Just need to maybe be increased for, let's say, DNS or something like that. So it's already present.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's Daniel from AfriNIC. I also don't really have a question as such, and it's also related to DNS. I just wanted to take the opportunity with the technical folks in the room to mention that AfriNIC also works a lot with DNS in the region and has a couple of programs. We also try to put exchange points or other operators in touch with routes, including FRoute. So also just wanted to extend a thank you to ISC as well. And we also do a CCTLD secondary program as well. So if you are a CCTLD and you haven't spoken to us yet, come and find me. And then finally, I do have a question, but it's more for the room in general and for Eddie specifically. I don't know if there's anybody here that would have any information, but I'm curious why more of the route operators, other than FRoute and perhaps L, don't have more activity in our region. We see quite a lot of L and F, but particularly B, C, K, A, there's very little.
I can't speak for the other route operators, so I don't know. We would, you know, the more the merrier for us. It's better for all of us the more that get involved with having more instances all around the world. So, thank you.
Well, as I said, thanks to IC, we do have F, so thank you.
Okay, there will be Kavi, then Alain and Ishal. Okay. Last three questions.
No, Kavi first. Kavi first.
Oh.
Kavi Ranchware, RIPE NCC, K-Route operator. We would love to come to Africa, and we had chats with AfriNIC and other interested parties, but the thing is, each operator, including K, have different models and plans for expansion. So we have a different criteria for looking at the requirements and where we can host because of our hardware model and expansion model. It's not that we don't want to come to Africa, it's just we have to find the right setup, basically. Actually, recently we have published an article which is sent to our DNS working group, our RIPE DNS working group, If you're interested to see, we have done a lot of measurements there, and we have seen some justification to put root servers in some parts of Africa, which we might pursue depending on what we get back from our community.
Thank you.
My name is Alain Ayina from AfriNIC. So my question is about the BCP38. So, and that is back to David's presentation, but he said you take question for him. So what is the strategy in terms of getting people to deploy BCP38? Because we all know the problem with BCP38. BCP38 exists for a decade now. So the problem is I deploy BCP38, I protect you, but if you don't protect me. So what is the strategy for the African region to get BCP38 deployed?
So this document is coming from Aaron Hughes, and we don't have much details what he wants to write, but in connection with manners that we heard presented before with David, actually manners, if the operator agrees to manners, to the basic routing hygiene, then one of things is that he needs to deploy BCP38 rules and filters and what he does say. So I would say if you can get operators from Africa region to go and read manners and join the effort and appear on that website as saying we agree and we hereby promise that we will work and make our network to be compliant with manners and not do bad stuff, BCP38 comes with it, and it is good because then the operators can see their name in the same list as other big operators from other regions, and I think this would be a really good thing. So operators in the room, please consider going to manners, read it, and see if you can publicly commit to them. Thank you.
Okay, we're already running behind schedule, so I'll take the question from Nishal, last question, and then we can continue the discussion during the tea break. Nishal?
Thank you, Vimla. It's Nishal again, PCH, I guess. This isn't so much of a question as it is more a call, I guess, for a lot of the people in the room. When somebody mentioned earlier on that there's work being done by Access, and that's great. I know this, I'm part of the tutor team, but there are other people that have been doing work on the continent for, remind me, Doc, 14 years now, at least, yeah? So I think it's important to recognize that it's not an Access that's going to come fix the problems for you. And don't get me wrong, Access is doing good work, right? ISOCs are doing great work with the Access stuff. Exchanges are popping up, this is good news. But you need to stop sitting down and waiting for someone to say, they're going to come and fix this for us. When you ask about, what's going on in Africa, why is BGP not an issue? I can tell you why. In a lot of cases, there aren't a lot of local organizations talking and coordinating amongst the technical people. The technical people aren't sharing their issues. So if you talk about building BCOPs, I think an essential part of what you need to do is talk about building that local community first. Okay, we have AfriNIC, and AfriNIC was supposed to be the start of what was going to be a pool of getting people to start localizing and getting people talking in their own communities. And AfriNIC moves along. But again, AfriNIC is not the only vehicle that you should be looking at as well. So the people in the room that are saying, well, we're concerned about BGP in our region, there are lots of folks here at this meeting you can talk to. There are 3 sitting at the top right there. There are people that represent Access in the African Union in here. I can help you from a PCH perspective. If you want help, there are people here that can help you. Don't wait for someone else to fix your problem. Otherwise, it's just never going to get fixed, really. So, Andrew, if you need help with your BGP, please stand up. Don't feel shy. Really, pride's not going to be a thing. Thank you.
So what I can hear from the very beginning, since ICANN panel and IANA transition, so we have to be more concerned we Africans have to be more concerned and promote and enhance with Africa and stop waiting for people to come and help us. So last question,
Yes,
or comment.
Raphael again. Question for Jan about David's presentation. Do you think you will build a database for the routing information if you want to have, because Level 3 is using their own database, RIPE has their own database, so if you want to protect the routing for, let's say, prefix being hijacked, you need a database at some point. Because if you look at, I was running a big ISP in France, we had about 5,000 prefixes, and some our providers were not able to get all your IPs in their filter. So they just put a max prefix and not putting some kind of dedicated filter list. So is it planned to have a kind of database, and who will run this?
So, okay, let me be very clear. We are not a routing police. Sorry. But manners are more of a promise and public commitment that you will not do bad things. It is very hard to actually test and identify if people that are committed to manners publicly are actually not doing what is written in there. But so, and there is also no sanctioning process. That means that goes like, okay, you committed to manners, and now you're doing bad stuff, and now something will happen to you. No, it is basically a public commitment that you will do your things properly. I think building a database like this would be a good idea. We can discuss it, but we first need to find a proper place and proper organization that will be able to build the database like this. BGP is a bit tricky because it's information losing protocol. The local information is lost fairly quickly with the number of AS hubs. So you need lots of places on the internet, lots of spies to say that you would be able to detect these things, or people reporting back. So there are two methods, automatic and people reporting back. But this is something that we probably need to discuss, but first find the proper place and people that would work on this.
You made a good point about sanction from IS to ISP. So a good thing would be maybe for someone that's doing bad things, and if you look at URIX or something like that, so if someone's doing something bad, so all the IXPs that sign are part of URIX can just disconnect this ISP.
Yeah, sure.
That can be something that can be proposed to the URIX meeting next time. If someone's doing something bad, it can be shut down by 2 times. 2 alerts, something.
You shut down the BGP session and you're done.
Yes, but if you're on a root server, you have to filter it. And if you can't filter it because the routing server don't handle communities, you can't do it.
Okay, Kaveh want to intervene, and then there's a buff just after the AfriNIC update. I think you should just, meet at the buff and further discuss. I see that this is a very passionate discussion and vibrant.
I'm glad there is lots of discussion.
I'll just, Ala, after, can you wait for the buff, or you have one thing to say more?
I also say that we like to have this kind of discussion over beer, not over tea.
Okay, so there's a whiskey buff provided by Ala. And I guess that Andrew also will join this. So thank you for this technical presentation. And before breaking for coffee, there's the gala dinner tonight. Light things, buff for them, gala dinner for me. So shuttles will leave Hennessy at 7 until 7:30. If you are at the Voila or the Suffren Hotel, just leave your name at the registration desk so that we can do a pickup tour for you. Second thing, the survey, AfriNIC survey. Please fill the survey so that you can give us your feedback. And we'll reward your participation tomorrow by a raffle, a prize during the closing ceremony. On that, I'll close this session and we'll break for coffee. A big applause to our panelists. Thank you very much.